Manchester United get their 24-25 Premier League season off to a positive start. A win which should have been by much more, and a game in which we dominated the ball. Foundations were laid and the performance is something we can build on. There were some issues which we'll get onto in a minute, but all in all, a very positive win. You could argue, and I totally understand why, if you thought that game was flat and potentially a little bit boring. But I don't hate that it was. We had a lot of possession and a large part of the game was played inside Fulham's half. We controlled the tempo for most of the game and the pace in which the game was played at, which was quite steady. I have been asking Man United to do all of those things for years now. So when it finally happens and they finally play that way, I'm definitely not going to complain. Once again, we were solid and compact out of possession, and I thought for the majority of the game we're good defensively. We covered the space in between the lines well, our pressing setup was good, we mostly forced Fulham to go long when they built out from the back, and also we minimised the amount of 1v1 duels, which is really good to see. We defended as a unit, and remember, a team will always be most effective when they defend together. One slight negative I have about our pressing is our lack of bravery to commit the fullbacks to the press. We're still pressing with a front four and sometimes a front five, but always leaving a free man because we don't commit our fullbacks to the press. However, we are starting to see it a little bit more, so I'm not too concerned, but it's something I need to see consistently very soon. We built out from the back with a 2-4 formation, which we saw on occasion a couple of times last season. Mazraoui and Dalot, the fullbacks, would push up in line with Casemiro and Menu, with Lisandro Martinez and Harry Maguire receiving deep off Onana. When we had the ball inside Fulham's half, we saw variations of the 3-1-6 or the 3-2-5 formation, with Dalot and Mazraoui inverting or pushing forward when necessary. Casemiro would occasionally drop into right centre-back and Menu would sit in the hole. I thought all in all, our possession work was really nice to watch. But like the pressing, a slight negative I have with it is the speed in which we move the ball. Sometimes when we have the ball close to the final third, we can get a little bit frantic. And I must say, I was at the game, so I can kind of understand it. The Old Trafford crowd kind of get a little bit impatient when the ball is in around the box. But I think it's important to remain composed and keep a hold of the ball instead of rushing anything and wasting a chance. When in possession, we committed a lot of bodies forward, especially late in the second half when we started to get a little bit desperate and chase the game. This left us quite vulnerable to counter-attacks, and Fulham actually created quite a few dangerous chances from those counters. But I don't look at those as tactical or structural issues. I look at those as individual errors that we didn't recover quick enough from. If you look at the chances Fulham got from those counter-attacks and how they came about, they came from mistakes and a lack to make up for them quickly. So at the minute, it's nothing to be too worried about, but it is something to be mindful of. I've just mentioned that Fulham had some good chances, but a 1-0 scoreline is still very flattering in my opinion, because we should have had at least 3. Mount and Bruno both had 1v1s with the keeper. Casemiro had a couple of pop shots, and I am still trying to wrap my head around that Garnacho miss at the end. But as frustrating as the misses are, I'm not that annoyed because at least we're creating the chances. Missing is frustrating, but it happens, and it's not that consistent, we hope. So, as long as we're creating 3 or 4 good chances a game, we'll be grand. Before I get on to the negatives, I have to highlight some of the top performers, starting with one of the best players on the pitch, Harry Maguire. Wow. An immense performance. He dominated his aerial battles and always stepped out at the right time to head the ball back into Fulham's half. His on-the-ball work was solid. It was just a really great performance. Despite the new additions to the team, Harry showed that he is still a very valuable member of this team. And this 1v2 save, I mean, they've made documentaries about less. Kobbie Mainoo also had a great performance, and I was really impressed with his positioning, anticipation and reading of the game. His interceptions were vital, and he was actually the catalyst for a lot of United attacks through his defensive work in midfield. His technical quality, as per usual, was on display, and his ability to weave past players with ease is absolutely ridiculous. Nous Mazraoui, what a debut. He slotted into that United back four without missing a beat, like he'd played in it for years. It was a very promising performance. He showed off his duelling, security in possession, and recovery defending too. There's more to come with Mazraoui as well. We didn't even get to see his work and threat inside the final third, his versatility, or his work even at left back. I am very excited for the future with the Moroccan. Casemiro. Sometimes you just need to remind yourself and everyone else that you still got that dog in you. And that is what he is doing at the minute. Another very solid performance. Proactive and aggressive out of possession. Acting not like the sitter, more like the ball winner. And I'm not the biggest fan of my six vacating his position to go chase after the ball and the opposition, but tweaks can be made to your midfield to remain it solid, or to keep it solid. I think that's a better way of saying it. Given Luke Shaw's reliability, or lack of, I should say, and Tyrell Malacia, who I sometimes forget plays for Manchester United, it looks like Diogo Dalot or sometimes Mazraoui will play a lot of this season at left back. If so, Dalot has to start using his left foot more, because he really hindered our attacks due to his lack of use of his left foot. He really slowed the play down on the left-hand side and then became very easy to defend against and predictable, and all those things will be heightened as the season goes on. I really like Dalot at left back. I actually think he's a little bit, especially as an inverted fullback, better at left back than he is at right back. However, if he isn't going to use his left foot, then he's got to master the Trivela or the Rabona to survive on the left-hand side in the final third. Maybe because of all this, a Reguilon-esque loan at the end of the window may not be the worst idea, but time will tell. I still want to give Dalot a chance. Garnacho and Zirkzee were good substitutions made at the right time, but I want to talk about both very quickly. I am delighted for Joshua Zirkzee, getting a goal on his debut, great finish by the way, and I thought in possession he had a good game. Lincoln play together well, showing off how skillful and technical he is, but everything he did was one touch, and off the ball he didn't really engage at all, and I think that is mostly down to the fact at the minute he's lacking match fitness, which is totally understandable, and as of right now, totally okay. That brings me on to Garnacho. After being on the pitch for about 10 minutes, he looked really burnt out. And I think that's because of a very long summer. And we have to remember, because there were 2 international tournaments this summer, pre-season isn't going to end until like the middle of September. So for now, winning and getting the new boys on the pitch is really all that matters. And in this game, both of those things happened with plenty of positive takeaways. So United fans have every reason to be happy.